Hi, Domenica here from Easy Sewing for Beginners. In this video today, I'll be showing you how to operate the Brother XM2701 sewing machine. Now, this is the model number available in the US off of Amazon. If you're in Australia, you'll be looking at the Brother LX27NT, and that's usually the one you purchase from Spotlight, but they are the exact same machine. So to get started, the main things out of the box will be the sewing machine. You will have the foot pedal and the power cord. You'll have a bag. You'll have a bag of accessories here along with your operation manual. Okay. Now this thing's pretty thick and it can be really overwhelming. So I'm going to show you step by step how we get this sewing machine set up. So these are the accessories that come in the bag. So you'll get 4 empty bobbins. This is a little mini screwdriver, which is handy for changing the needle. You'll have some spare needles. This one here is a twin needle, and this one's an additional spool pin. You'll have a darning plate if you want to do some free motion sewing. And then you've got some additional feet here. So this one is your zipper foot. This one is for a little rolled hem. Then you also have your foot for sewing on buttons. This one is a buttonhole foot. And then you also have this one for sewing blind hems on pants. Now, if you want any extra videos showing you how to use any of these extra feet, then pop a comment down below and I can make a video for that. So straight out of the box, the machine already has a standard presser foot on it and it has a needle ready to go. So what we'll need to do is get it all plugged in, and then we'll need to load some thread onto the bobbin and get the machine all threaded up. Okay, so on the side of the machine here, you'll find the spot where you need to plug the cord into. So the cord will have the foot pedal and the power plug attached to it. So I'm going to plug this into the side. Your foot pedal will go onto the floor, and I'm just going to plug the power in as well. Now that the machine's all plugged in, we're ready to turn it on. So you'll find the switch just above where the power plug is here. So I'm going to flick the switch on, and you'll know when your machine's on when you can see the light on just underneath or just above the needle there. Okay, so next we're going to grab one of the empty bobbins and we're going to load some thread onto that. So to do that, up the top here you'll have the spool pin. So you can pull it up when you need to use it and push it down when you're ready to store it. So I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to place the thread spool on top of the pin and just make sure that the thread is coming off towards the front of the spool there. All right, the first thread guide is over here, and you'll actually have a little picture on the top here for threading the bobbin. So the thread will need to go behind that first thread guide. And there's actually a little wire loop in there that you'll see if you look nice and closely. The next thing you'll need to do is wind the thread around this little spring tension guide here. So make sure that the thread is going under that spring tension guide there and looping around towards the back. Next, I'm going to grab the bobbin, and you'll find on the bobbin that there will be some little holes on the sides. So I'm going to grab the end of the thread and I'm going to thread through from the inside of the bobbin up through to the top, and I'm just going to hold that with my other hand. Okay, I'm going to push that bobbin down onto the bobbin spindle and pull it over to the right, and you'll hear a little click when it does that. Okay, all right, so I'm going to gently put my foot on the foot pedal and I'm going to let that wind a little bit. Okay, and then I'm just going to snip that thread tail off, and I'm going to keep winding that bobbin. When it has the amount of thread that you want on it, push the bobbin spindle back over to the left, and then you can pull the bobbin off and then snip your thread. Usually you'd fill the bobbin all the way up, but just for demonstration purposes, I've just put a little bit of thread onto the bobbin for now. Now that we've loaded thread onto the bobbin, we're going to get ready to put it into the machine down the bottom here. So we're going to remove the bobbin cover by just sliding this cover back. Okay, and before we put the bobbin in, we're going to make sure the thread is running in an anti-clockwise direction. So when you hold the bobbin up, the thread should be coming off to the left-hand side here. Okay, when you hold it up, it should make the letter P as well. So that's another handy way to remember the direction that it should be going in. Okay, so we're just going to drop the bobbin into the bobbin case here. Now there's a little notch at the front here, so you need to make sure that the thread is running through this little notch, and then it needs to be guided through the little spring tension blade on the left here. Okay, so I'm going to pull it forward and then just pull it to the side. And then this one has a quick set bobbin, so you just need to guide the thread into the thread guide here and then just pull it to snip the end of the thread tail. Okay, once that's done, just replace the cover back on, and then we'll be ready to thread the top part of the machine. Okay, so next we're going to thread the top part of the machine. So I'm going to remove this thread just so I have a contrasting thread color for the top thread, but usually you would keep the thread color the same for the top and the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to place my thread onto the spool pin, making sure my thread is coming off from the front of the spool pin. Now the first thread guide is the same as when we're putting thread onto the bobbin. So make sure you get your thread into the little wire hook that's underneath there. Next we're going to come down the front here. The tension discs are up here, so we need to make sure it's running through the tension discs. The third thread guide is underneath here and then running back up. And then the next thread guide is the take-up lever that you can just see inside here. So when you're putting the thread through the take-up lever, it's best to have the take-up lever in the highest position. And to make sure it's in the highest position, you're going to use the hand wheel and turn it towards yourself. And when you do that, you can just see the take-up lever moving in there. So to get the thread sitting at the front of that take-up lever, you need to guide it back and then kind of hold it towards the left and then pull towards you, and you should see that that thread is sitting in the front of the take-up lever. Most machines it actually sticks up, but this particular machine it's actually very hard to see. Okay, once we've got the thread sitting in the take-up lever, we're going to bring it all the way back down. So the next thread guide is right at the top of the needle bar here. So I find the easiest way to do this is to hold the thread out with your left hand like this, and then take the other part of the thread in your right hand and kind of guide it through like so. Okay, and then it should be sitting in that thread guide right at the top of the needle there. Next, we're going to put the thread through the eye of the needle. So we're going to thread it from the front through to the back. Now this machine actually comes with an needle threader, so we're going to use that. So if you pull the needle threader down, and as it comes around, there'll be a little metal hook that will go into the eye of the needle. So you need to hook the thread around the little plastic hook there and guide it under, and you should get the thread under that little metal hook. As you gently pull it up, the metal hook should bring the thread through the eye of the needle, so you have a little loop, and I usually just push it to the side and grab it with my other hand like that. Okay, and then place the thread under the presser foot to the back of the machine, and that will be ready to sew. Now if you prefer to thread the machine by hand, then Just give the thread a little snip so you have a nice sharp end there, and then you just need to get it through that little eye there, from the front through to the back. Just like that. So let's have a quick look at some of the settings before we start. So this dial here, this does the tension on the tension discs. We're going to leave that at 4 for now. This dial in the middle here controls the width of your stitch, so helpful if you're doing a zigzag stitch. It also will change the needle position if you're doing a straight stitch. So you can see that on the back there. So moving it up to 5 will move the needle all the way over to the left, and moving it down to 0 would move it all the way over to the right. We're going to leave it on 2.5 right in the center there. And this dial over here will do your stitch length. So I'm going to leave it at about a 2.5 at the moment. Down here you have your stitch selection guide. So number 2 is the straight stitch. So we're going to make sure that that's on number 2. Now these purple stitches here, if you want to access those, they are your stretch stitches. So you need to use this dial at the top here and turn it back all the way until you get to SS, and then you will be accessing these stitches. And on the front here is the reverse stitch lever. Okay, so now we're ready to sew. So we're going to make sure that our presser foot is in the up position. So you can do that by lifting up the presser foot lever at the back here. Okay, I'm going to place the fabric under the presser foot and lower the presser foot lever down. Okay, now we're ready to sew. So I'm going to put my foot on the foot pedal. Off I go. I'm going to do a few stitches and then push down the reverse stitch and put your foot on the foot pedal to do that reverse stitching, and then I'm going to continue on. Reverse stitch at the end as well. Okay. Now if your needle finishes in the down position, use your hand wheel, turn it towards yourself to bring the needle all the way up. Lift up the presser foot lever, and then you can pull your threads out, and there's a little cutter on the side here and you can cut your threads. Okay, and here's what the stitching will look like. This is the top thread and this here is the bobbin thread. Now just an extra added thing about the hand wheel here. This particular model has a little line here on the hand wheel. So when that little line is lined up with the plastic line on the side of the machine here, that actually helps you know when the needle and the take-up lever is in the highest position. So if you just make sure that that line is lined up with the line on the side of the machine, then you'll know that the take-up lever is in its highest position. One last thing before I finish up. Now if you want to sew things like hems of pants or anything that has a small opening, you can actually remove this front part of the sewing machine just by sliding it to the left. Okay, and then that will give you your free arm part of the sewing machine to use. If you want, you can store things in here, but I think it's a little bit tricky to use that as a storage container on this particular machine. Just to put it back on, it just slides back on just like that. Okay, hope you found this tutorial useful. If you have any questions or comments, then pop them in the comment section down below. Until next time, happy sewing. Bye.